All right, Republican presidential candidate Jeb Bush hitting back. Bush using his visit to the Mexican border to denounce GOP rival Donald Trump's immigration plan as unrealistic.
Mr. Trump's plans are not grounded in conservative principles. The simple fact is that his proposal is unrealistic. It will cost hundreds of billions of dollars. It will violate people's civil liberties. It will create friction with our third largest trading partner that is not necessary. And I think he's wrong about this.
Bush taking a cue from Trump's showmanship by saying if Donald wants to learn more about dealing with illegal immigration, he should read Bush's book, Immigration Wars. But it's not just Mexico we're talking about here. You know, as we watch this market here, up 240 in response, of course, to news that China is going to cut rates. We're also talking about the immigration issue we have with China. Here's a pretty startling statistic for you. You know, Chinese women, they're coming to the United States of America to give birth so that their children will have American citizenship. In fact, in a 4-year time period, the number of Chinese women coming and giving birth on our soil, it has nearly tripled. And you know what? That's not all. Even more startling here, a growing number of wealthy Chinese women are hiring American women to use American women's bodies to have their children born on American soil. Something that really does suggest our immigration policy needs an overhaul. Former New York Governor George Pataki is back with me here. And do you agree? I mean, what do we do about this? The idea that people come here, have a child, or even worse, put an embryo in an American woman so she can have that child here on American soil.
It's totally wrong, and we have to overhaul our immigration laws completely. First, let me start with Jeb Bush's comment where he was saying how expensive and difficult Donald Trump's plan would be. I don't think that's far enough. Donald Trump's plan is nuts. We're going to take nuts. We're going to take a 10-year-old kid, a girl who's in the 5th grade, who was born in America, lived here her whole life, speaks fluent English, has never been in the country her parents came from, have police or soldiers go in and drag her out of the classroom and send her to a country.
So do you think he's saying that just for effect? Do you think he knows that, you know, logistically it would be pretty next to impossible?
I think like most of his solutions, it's superficial. It makes no sense, but it's a good soundbite. But I think, sadly, I fear that he actually believes it. And not just does Trump believe it, but too many of my fellow Republicans seeking the nomination have not rejected this ridiculous idea.
Well, I think people feel angry that, you know what, the country's in a tough enough spot as it is. Our economy's in a tough spot. Jobs are hard to come by. And the idea that there's people here that are benefiting from the system that didn't come here as they should. Now, look, I'm a product of immigrants. You are as well. We all are. I mean, that's part of what this country is. But nonetheless, our families came here legally. They did it the right way. And I think a lot of Americans say, hey, you know, as long as it's legal, fine. But they don't like the idea of people doing this in an underhanded, illegal way.
I totally agree with that. And we have to control our borders. We have to make sure people only can come here legally, not just the borders, but overstaying visas. And we have to have a penalty for those who came here illegally.
So what do you do about anchor babies, for example? And not just Mexicans, but also the Chinese, as I was just pointing out.
Well, I think the whole idea that people come here simply to give birth to a child is wrong, and we should stop that. We should not allow that to happen, period.
Okay, so you say, but then you get into the 14th Amendment. I mean,
well,
if the
once a child is born here, it's a different story.
Soil.
But we have the right to control our borders. We have the right to control who comes to the United States. So what do? You give a pregnancy test to every woman who's coming into the country? No, but I think we could have legislation that makes it plain that you cannot come here simply for that purpose and allow that to happen. But we do, as you said in your commentary, we need to have a comprehensive overhaul of the immigration law, starting with controlling our borders, controlling our airports, controlling our visa policies, and making sure people come here legally.
You make a lot of sense, Governor, a lot of sense. But when we look at your polling numbers, can we pull those up for folks? You're still struggling there. How long do you stay in this? And at this point, why stay in it if you're not in the higher echelon?
The reason to stay in it is to win. Because I honestly believe I can lead this country well. And I don't think America has an inherent problem other than our government. We don't do enough globally to protect our security. We don't do enough to allow our economy to grow and create the jobs. It's not a failing of Americans. It's a failing of government. And when it's a failing of government, the solution is to change that government. And I know I can do that. I did it in a deep blue state with conservative policies, with a Democratic assembly. The poll numbers are what they are right now. I wish they were higher, but I'm a realist. But who cares? If you believe in your ability to lead the country, if you believe that those at the top right now are irresponsible and floating ideas that make no sense, and if you believe in the need to change the direction of this country and don't make the race, shame on you. So I'm out there and I intend to stick this out.
That's great. Passion, that counts in politics. Governor Pataki, thank you so much.
Trish.
Good to have you here, as always.